Hi everybody, this is Brian Seymour, Director of Instructional Technology with Pickerington Local School District. I'd like to take some time today in our Technology Snapshot of the Week to talk about some of the features that are actually on the iPad. We're not necessarily going to talk about apps this week, but I really want to talk about some individual pieces and parts and some tricks and tips of the iPad that I think could be very useful to you in the classroom. So to start out with, I'd just like to talk a little bit about some of the settings pieces that are on here. So the setting app is the one with the gears on it, and this is basically your control panel type piece. So if we go ahead and we open that up, there's a first thing that I always like to do when I create one of these videos is go into the Do Not Disturb section and click over here to Manual. What that'll do is that'll prevent any of my messages or any of my emails or texts or anything like that from popping up on the screen. This can be very beneficial for you as well. So as you're teaching, you don't necessarily want your text being popped up on the screen or any of those types of notificational messages that you may have. You can also achieve the exact same thing that we just did by just swiping up from the bottom and utilizing all of these buttons down here at the bottom. So I'm going to go over these real quickly with you. You've got your airplane mode. This is obviously if you go on an airplane, you want to turn your Bluetooth off, you want to turn your Wi-Fi off, so on and so forth. I don't want to do that now because it'll actually disconnect me from this presentation, so that would not be good. Here's your Wi-Fi. So to turn your Wi-Fi on and off, and also to be able to select your different Wi-Fis. Here's Bluetooth to be able to turn Bluetooth on and off, and here is your Do Not Disturb. So if I clicked on that, it would then be able to, any of my messages would be able to pop up. So we'll activate that as well. And then this last button here would then send me back to the lock screen. Over here, we can change our, it's not doing it on the screen, but it is on my actual iPad. This is basically your brightness piece. You've got your volume down here, turn music on or off, whatever you were listening to. And then you've got down here, you've got your stopwatch and directly into your photo. You've also got this piece here, which is called AirDrop, which we'll talk about here in a little while. Okay, so we go ahead and minimize that back out. Okay, if we go back into settings, so we talked a little bit about the Do Not Disturb portion. The one thing I do want to point out to you is this down here at the bottom. This says silence, and it says always or only when iPad is in locked mode. So if the iPad is in locked mode, that basically means you're not using it. So obviously you don't want that part selected, because if you want to be using it and be able to project with kids, you want to be able to be obviously have it open and unlocked. So you want to click on always, so that way when you're in an app, when you're on the home screen, whatever, none of your messages pop up with anything like that. Okay, I think the rest of these here, at least here at the top, kind of makes sense. You got your airplane mode. There's where you find your Wi-Fi. You turn your Bluetooth on or off. Notifications. These are all of your notifications. So if you want to turn on or off notifications for specific apps, those are all there. Control center as well. Pretty self-explanatory. All right. The other thing that I want to talk a little bit about is down here in general, and then in accessibility. Now, accessibility are all of the pieces and parts, and I'm sure our special education teachers know the accessibility function very, very well, but you've got all kinds of different things in here. You've got voiceover, so if the kids actually want to listen to something being read to them, that's there. So voiceover, if you turn that on, it actually will speak things to you. You can change the volume or change the speak rate. You've also got speech, which you can actually do speech selections. So if you highlight something, it'll actually give you a button to be able to talk. So I think it's kind of good as kids are starting to write more on iPads. You may want to have them go back and listen to themselves or listen to what it is that they typed. I know some of the kids have a hard time going back and redoing or making drafts of theirs. You know, they figure they've done it once, they're done with it, it's good. But really, if you have them type something out on the iPad and then have them go back through, highlight it, and then click on the More button and have them listen to it, I guarantee you they're going to hear some stuff on there going, hey, I really want to, redo this, or this doesn't make sense when I listen to it. All right, one of the things that I found very, very important for me is bold text. So what this does is it takes all of these words underneath here and it makes them a little bit darker. So it really just depends on what type of background it is that you want to use. And I guess how good your eyes are to be able to say, hey, do you want these on or off? There's a lot of other pieces and parts inside of here. There's closed captioning and other assistive technology pieces and parts on here. So take a look under accessibilities. I think there's some really cool things that kids could be able to be used to help them out, regardless of if they have a disability or not, to be able to help them with these. All right, the other thing I want to talk about under general is one of the things that people are always like, well, you know, I've got a 16 gig iPad, but I don't have enough room, or this is that, and how do I know what's taking up so much room, or so this or that? So underneath here, you've got this thing which just says usage, okay? So under usage, if you click on that, you get three options. The first one here is battery usage, storage, and then iCloud, okay? So obviously on our school computers, iCloud's not turned on because, you know, they're being used by multiple people. But these two things are kind of significantly important. So the first one there is battery usage. Let's say, you know what, I've got this iPad, it doesn't really last very long. There's got to be something that's wrong with it, or the battery's not good. It's probably there's an app running in full-time in the background that is basically sucking up all of your battery. So if you click on this and give it a second, it'll actually show all of your devices and what is actually utilizing the most energy. So if you look here, my two apps on my iPad are the Mail app and CNET. Okay, CNET is just a magazine basically. So these two things, and it says background activity. So 26% of my battery usage has gone to Mail. Running in the background, and then CNET is running in the background. So there's some ways that you can actually go in and change these so they don't run in the background anymore, and that will help you with you know, some of those usage issues. And then you can do the same thing for the last 7 days. Okay. The other thing here is storage. So here's your used, and here's my available, and then you can actually even go in here and figure out what apps are actually using up the most space. So if we give this a second and let everything come up, you can see that the biggest app that's taking up the biggest amount of space in this one is LinkedIn. So if you got something that's in here that's a couple gigs and you've only got a 16 gigabyte iPad, then yeah, maybe that one needs to go. Or maybe you have too many pictures. Or maybe inside of your messages you have too many pictures. So this is an easy way to kind of figure out where some things are at and some things are moving around. Okay. The next thing I want to do is show you some really cool tricks in Safari that would help, especially as we're starting to use multiple devices. You know, like I have my iPad Air, my MacBook Air, I've got my iPhone, I've got my desktop at home, and I've got another laptop, which I also use as a lot of data storage. So let's say I'm doing something on one computer and I find something, but I want to go over to my iPad. So for example, if we open up Safari, okay, and here's my blog website, and now let's say, you know, I was looking at a really cool website just a little bit ago when I was at home, let's say, and I want to bring that website up on my iPad. I can't remember what it was or anything like that. So if you get in here and you do a pinch, so a two-finger pinch, okay, you then bring this up. And here are now all of my computers or devices that are attached to my same iCloud account. All right, so you can actually see here on my MacBook Air, which is my computer I'm on right now. Here's the app or the web page that I was on. Here's all of my things that were on my phone, so I can look at all those. Here's my MacBook Air back at home, or my MacBook Pro back at home, and then here's my computer that usually my wife uses the most of for our Mac Mini. So if I wanted to, I could go to any of those pages real quick just by clicking on one of those, and now I've got that app up, website up. All right. I can also, if I do this, I can also switch between windows, browser windows that I have open here as well. So this is kind of nice. Depending on how you've got your computer synced and how you've got this, you could actually be able to share websites with kids, so that way they didn't have to necessarily, go from here to here to here to here or type things in or anything. They could just click on things as they go. The other really cool thing about the way that this works now, this is a brand new function. So if you don't have ISO 8 on your iPad and Yosemite on your computer, this doesn't work, but we're slowly getting there, so hopefully the school computers will have this. If you notice down here in my dock, I have this little extra piece that's now popped up here, an extra Safari. So here's my normal Safari. Here's this extra Safari. What is this? Well, it says Safari from iPad. This is called Handoff. So I'm now working on this. Okay, so this is my blog page. So now, going to here, I can click on this, and it'll actually open up Safari, which is over here on my other screen. And it actually opened it up now on my computer. Okay, pretty cool when you start looking at what are some options that we can actually do with this. Okay, so once again, let me just show you. So I'm here, I'm looking at this, I come down here, I click, and it brings it up now on here. All right, so just some cool things. That's called Handoff. There's actually some other things you can do with that as well. So if you're working on something on Pages in one thing and you want to go to the other device, you can do that as well. So check that out, but that's only if you have Yosemite on your computer and ISO 8 here. Okay. The other thing I want to show you that's a cool little trick is in the photos. So let's say I took a photo on my iPad, but I want it on my MacBook Air, my computer. Well, there's a couple different ways that you could do that in the past. You could do it where you set a message, a text message. You could do it through email, or you could sync your computer and then it goes into messages. Well, all of those take a really, really long time. So if we go into Photos, and I was at a conference yesterday, an Apple conference, and I took this picture here. And I really want to take this picture and put it into my notes on my computer. Okay? So down here at the bottom, there's this little button, and I'm actually going to activate something here real quick. So down here in this this little arrow with a box, and that's your send out thing, share. So now in this middle piece here, we should get, maybe. There it is. Okay. So now what we've got is this. This is my MacBook Air. So we're looking at my iPad screen. And now my MacBook Air. So if I want to send this picture, all I have to do is click on me. And now you hear that message. Receiving photo from Brian Seymour's iPad Air. And then voila, if we look into my Downloads folder, there it is, right there. So now, real easily, I've gone back and forth and done that. So what we could do with this is, let's say a kid is working on something, or you want all the kids to have something. So when we go to 8, we could actually you could send this picture out to everybody in your classroom just by going through and clicking on those pieces and parts there. So that's called AirDrop, and you can basically do anything, any kind of picture, any kind of Word document, so on and so forth, with AirDrop. All right, so the next thing I want to talk about is kind of a little bit of a fun thing, but I think it's really got some really cool educational backgrounds to it, and that is working with Siri. I mean, everybody knows what Siri is. Siri is the voice-activated automator here on the iPads. But there's some cool things that you can do with it, and if you've got Siri on ISO 8, you can actually just talk to it. You don't have to worry about pushing the home button or anything like that. So we could say, hey Siri, What's my calendar?
Checking.
So Siri's going to look to see what my calendar is. Maybe. Let's see. Let's try this again. Hey Siri, what kind of appointments do I have for Monday?
Okay, Brian, I found 3 appointments Monday.
Can you tell me about them, please?
Okay, I found this on the web for them, please.
Not necessarily what I wanted, so you got to be careful with what you say. Siri, what's my calendar look like for Monday?
Okay, Brian, I found 3 appointments Monday.
Okay, so she's now brought up my calendar, which starts right there, and then you can scroll through some different pieces and parts. So you can also do some other things. Hey Siri, start a timer.
For how long?
30 seconds.
Done. I love a good countdown.
So then Siri can actually start this countdown for you. So let's say you wanted kids to clean up and you've got 3 minutes, or you wanted them to do this activity and they have 5 minutes, or you wanted them to take a quiz in a certain amount of time. You could do that, and Siri will actually start the timer right away for you, and really any time that you'd want. And when you get down to the countdown, it then makes a noise, and now you've got timer done, and all you got to do is click on that. So there's a couple other different things you could actually do. If you have your, this is for 8 as well, if you have your iPad connected to your phone, it can actually make phone calls for you. So let's say if I wanted to call my office phone number, Siri, dial 920-6168.
I can't make phone calls for you on this device, but I can make a FaceTime call.
Siri, make a FaceTime call.
Who would you like to FaceTime with?
920-6168.
Making a FaceTime call to 920-6168.
So hopefully if this works, my office phone number should. Oh. Okay. Not a FaceTime call. So you got to do this with somebody with an iPhone. I do it with I call my wife a bunch on this. I can call anybody with a parent or with an iPhone. So you can go back and forth on this as well. Now, Siri can also do some other kind of funny things. So she can actually go, hey Siri. Hey Siri. Tell me a joke.
Brian, get serious. Haha.
Hey Siri, why did the chicken cross the road?
I don't understand why people ask questions they already know the answer to.
Siri, how much wood would a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck would chuck wood?
An Apple spokesperson declined to comment.
So Siri's got, if you search for this, it's actually hilarious. There's some things that Siri actually is built in to talk about and to give you some jokes and stuff like that. But in all seriousness, here's some things I think would be kind of interesting. This Siri is actually tied into some really cool databases. The main one is actually Wolfram Alpha. So regardless of if you have Wolfram Alpha on here or not, you could actually ask Siri some questions. Whoops. Hey Siri, how many people in Ohio have a master's degree?
Let me have a look.
So some high-level data questions, Siri can actually go on and use
It
this.
looks like the answer is about 504,926 people.
So it actually came up and said that in Ohio, the population, 6.5% of people around the age of greater than 25 years or older have a master's degree. So those are some kind of data type questions it can ask. We can also say some math questions like, Siri, what is 18% of 934?
Let me have a look. All right, here's what I got.
So and as you can see, Siri can also start to do some mathematical problems on here as well. So you can do as advanced or as limited as you want. So you can actually see it actually even gives you a number line. So some of you that are using some lower math level can actually have some kids do some number line pieces and parts on here as well. Siri can also do some history questions. So when was the Battle of Hastings?
I'm it. The answer is October 14th, 1066 AD.
So as you can see, and then it gives us some information on those types of questions. It even goes back and tells you what the sunrise and sunset was in Pickerington, Ohio during the Battle of Hastings. So interesting, some stuff that we can do on here. We can also do, what is the definition of a galaxy?
Okay, give me a moment. From 3 definitions of galaxy, the first one is a splendid assemblage, especially of famous people.
Okay. So now you can see that it can actually give definitions as well. The other thing that it can do is actually help you spell things. So, how do you spell supercalifragilisticexpialidocious?
Let me check that. All right, here's what I got.
So there you go. The biggest word I've ever heard of, supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. So just some interesting things. You can also say, find a picture of an isosceles triangle.
Here are some images of an isosceles triangle I found on the web.
Okay. So just some interesting things. You can also do, Siri, can you take a note, please?
Okay, I can take that note for you. Just tell me what you want it to say.
We need to talk to Dr. Valerie Browning about a new part of the website that is coming online shortly.
Noted.
Okay, so now I've got a note in here. I didn't really have to worry about typing anything out. I can do it all through voice. There's also some pieces and parts that Siri can actually do that can translate into a different language. Siri can translate, I believe, into about 14 different languages currently. So those of you that have LEP students, you could actually use Siri to actually create some of those cool different pieces and parts. So those are just a few of the basic things that an iPad can do and I feel that we can utilize in the classroom. So please feel free to experiment and play around with the different parts of this. I think it'll make some very cool projects and some very cool activities that we can use for our kids to integrate technology into the classroom. So thank you very much, and we'll see you next time on our next Technology Snapshot.